Hello guys, welcome back to another episode here on African Confessions. There is a message that was forwarded to me by one of our admins, and the message reads like this. Hello African community, how are you? I have my own story that I want to share. This story of mine, it happened about 6 years ago. I am a lady who is married. I am currently residing here in Ireland, but originally I'm from Kenya. I came here looking for greener pastures. My story goes like this. I was born in a family, and this family, my brother, even though we were not poor as such, my father was working in the bank, and then my mother was working as a teacher. We really had a comfortable life. Even after I had finished my high school, I then came here to study in Ireland. So when I came here in Ireland, my brother, that is when I met my boyfriend, who later became my husband. My father and my mother, they used to tell us that some of the things that we used to hear walking in the ceiling, those things, according to them, they said that the things, they were being sent by my mother's sister. She was the one who had those things. My mother told us that her own father had these things that he used for some of his few businesses. So when our grandfather passed away, my mother's sister, she was the one who took inheritance of those things that she used to send to my mother, because my mother was a Christian and she never wanted any part with those things. My mother and her sister, they seemed as if they were not even related, because when they would come across each other, it might be in town or anywhere, they would never greet each other. This is what still happens between them. And now that they are getting older, it seems as if it is even getting worse. As for me and my cousins, we don't even communicate because there was no unity between my mother and my mother's sister. When my little sister was 3 years old, she nearly died in a car accident. And my mother and her sister, they really had a big fight, because my mother's sister had told my mother that one of her children were going to die. When that accident happened, it left my little sister disabled for life. I am staying with my little sister here in Ireland. When I left my country, coming here to Ireland, one day I received a phone call, and when I spoke with the woman who was talking with me, then that woman told me that my mother's sister had tried to call me, but I was unreachable. Before I could even drop the call, that is when I heard that the other woman who was speaking on the other end of the line, it was my mother's sister. I asked her what she wanted from me. Then she said, "So you are like your mother. You are as selfish as your mother." Well, in that country in which you are going to come out of that country holding nothing. You are going to struggle in that country. After she had dropped the call, I suffered so much, my brother, in this country that I am, that I nearly slept in the street because I could not afford my bills anymore. And everything that my mother's sister had told me, the way that she had cursed me, I was scared that it was going to turn out to be true. When I was suffering, that was when I had no choice but to move in with my boyfriend, even though we had promised each other that we were supposed to get married first before we could move in with each other. When I moved in with the guy that I eventually married, that is when I fell pregnant for him. After I had fallen pregnant for him, I had to put a pause to my education so that I could take care of my pregnancy and the baby thereafter. It seemed as if the curse was working, but the man that I married, my brother, is indeed a prayer warrior, because he started praying after I had told him our family's history. So the more that we prayed, the more things started to be okay here in Ireland. And back home, my parents started to notice that there was change in their lives. So what we used to do is that at night we would call my parents so that we can hold a prayer session together. Life returned back to normal. Then after I had given birth to my baby, I gave birth to a bouncing baby boy. Then after 3 months, my baby just died. Strange things do happen, my brother, because my baby was okay one day. Then the next day, he just got sick. After we had gone to the hospital, my baby boy just died. Back home, my parents, they were going all over the place trying to find a solution to our problems. Then they went to this other certain church. Whilst they were at church, that was when the pastor pointed at my mother. The pastor then said that the things that he wanted to tell my mother and my father, this was going to be a private session. And after he had helped them, then they could go out in the public and tell their testimony. So after church, then my mother and my father, they went with the pastor to their house. My mother said that once they had entered into that pastor's house, when they were praying, they actually heard that there was someone who seemed to be running on the rooftop because the whole house was vibrating. When they were praying, that is when they heard someone that was screaming outside. It seemed as if the person who had been running on the roof all the time when the pastor was praying, that person eventually fell to the ground. So they all rushed outside. And to my mother's surprise, when they rushed outside, she was the one to first recognize the voice of the woman who was crying, even though they could not see the face properly, because my mom said that her sister's face, they could not actually see it because it was covered in darkness. My mom said that her sister kept on crying as she was saying that, "Why are you burning me? Please stop, for you are burning me." Then my mom asked her sister what she had been doing on top of the roof. My mom's sister started to confess. She then said whilst she was at home just relaxing, then her things came rushing to her. Then things started to beat her up, the creatures that she had been using so as to make my family to suffer. Those are the same creatures that she had sent to me from Kenya all the way here to Ireland so that they can kill my baby. That is how far these witches will go. She then confessed that those creatures had rushed back to her house and they were beating her up, saying, "Can you see what you have done to us? These people, they are now burning us with fire." So those creatures then dragged my mom's sister from her house to the pastor's house. So she said that all along when she was on top of the roof, the evil creatures were beating her up. So she was running around the roof because she could not find a way for her to get down from the roof. Then she said she saw something that looked like a tongue of fire that fell down from the heaven. And when that tongue of fire was falling from the heaven, she then tried to jump from that pastor's roof. That is how she fell on the ground. But my mom said that when they found her crying on the ground, she didn't have a single scratch on her body, but there was something about her face. Her face was so dark that you could not even see it properly. When the pastor was praying, that was when my mother's sister just disappeared. So the things that she confessed to the pastor, my mom's sister said that there was one point in her life when she asked for some money from my father. After my father had given her the money, she then went ahead and asked for some money from my mother, but she did this on separate occasions. She then even asked for some money from me until she had collected money from me, my siblings, and from my parents. She told the pastor that all along she had been using the money so as to bewitch us. My brother, the thing that I want to say is that indeed black magic is out there, no matter where you are. These people, when they are fighting against you, they can even cross borders without using passports. So people need to be very prayerful. Hey, dear listeners, right there was a message that was forwarded to me by one of our admins. Strange things do happen in this world. If you have any story that you want to share with us, please do not hesitate to contact us via our email address, or you can use the WhatsApp number that is appearing on your screen.